down. We're going to have a little bit different sermon today. This sermon is actually the story of St. Nicholas. I got two books, two different storybooks. I'm going to use this one today. And in your bags for today, and it will be there next week, in most of the bags is a book, and this one will be in there next week, of the story of St. Nicholas. So next Sunday, if you're here, you can look at the pictures and think about this story. But St. Nicholas was a real person. He was a boy, just like you boys, a child just like you. And he grew up in a place called Milo, which is thousands of miles away. In the year, about the year 270. So that's, we're in the year 2020. So 270, take the 2000s away, and take a bunch of the hundreds, and go all that way back. And that is where he was born, when he was born and lived. And this is what his town looked like. The stones, or his houses, were made out of what we would call adobe, which are kind of a mud. And his family was a wealthy family. They had a lot of money. And you know, lots of times we think having a lot of money makes life easy. But Nicholas learned it didn't. Because Nicholas's parents died. I don't know how they died, but they died. He was still a young man, so he had to go and live with his uncle, who was a very good man as well. And both his parents and his uncle were Christians, and they taught Nicholas about Jesus. And they taught him that Jesus was the gift from God to set all things right and to show each of us how to live in the way God wants us to live. And so Nicholas really believed that, and he really followed those teachings. And he traveled to where Jesus lived, which was several hundred miles away, so that he could see where Jesus had really lived. And that was a difficult and hard journey. While he was there, he got thrown into prison. Life wasn't going so well for Nicholas. And so he spent some time in prison because people didn't want him to believe in Jesus, and he would not deny Jesus. He got out of prison and he returns home. And even as he grew, so well did his heart, he wanted to use the wealth his parents had left him to help be Jesus' servant. And Nicholas hears the story of three little girls whose father was in a terrible situation. Because in those days, where a girl could either get married or she could be a servant. Those were her choices. Well, not necessarily her choices. But, and because their father didn't have any money, they couldn't get married. Because to get married, a girl had to have money to give to the future husband. And so they knew they were going to be ended up cleaning people's houses and cooking people's food for the rest of their life. Nicholas hears that, and he thinks, I know what to do. I'm still a very rich man. I will take some of my things, and I will put them in a bag, and I will throw them through the window of the girl's house so that they will have what was called a dowry, money to get married. So they will have a dowry. And Nicholas does that. And the girls wake up and are very, 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 very happy and overjoyed because now they can live a better life. Nicholas loved to pray and loved to help others. And so the story of Nicholas and his giving of his wealth tells us what Jesus wants us to be like. And can you put this in your bag? Can you put this in your bag? So what do you think of Nicholas? He was a pretty good guy, wasn't he? He helped other people. And that's the message of Christmas. And Tuesday is actually St. Nicholas's special saint's day. But we remember St. Nicholas and we're celebrating him today because St. Nicholas teaches us that Christmas isn't about getting what we're going to get, but rather Christmas is about giving and sharing what we have with others. And that's what's going to make us truly happy and help us to become God's people. That's why when we get to the coffee hour, you are going to make first a pancake for somebody else. And you can give it to whoever you want in the congregation. And then you're going to make a pancake for yourself, showing that we give to others. And when we give to others, we have to give for ourselves. You can go back to your seats. How did I forget this? In memory of Nicholas and his giving the coins, Jack, this is I found that. Joey, can you help? Can you hand a coin and Jack and Joey and Ashley? Can you three hand a coin out to every person? Don't stop. Let the girls help you. Everybody gets a coin. It happens to be chocolate. And yes, you can save it for later or you can stick it in your mouth later. This also happens to be the first day of our pledge drive here at Church of the Resurrection. So you are going to be invited to receive a pledge letter, to take that home and to think about what you can give to help the work of this parish. Now, what is the work of this parish? The work of this parish is to worship God, to bring children into a relationship with God, to reach out into the community, to help people in need, and to help people learn of God's generosity and gift. And your gifts to this parish allow us to do those things. And everybody needs their candy. Priorities.